Welcome in, everyone. My name is Gracey with Northern Astrology. I am your astrologer, your mystic, your guide to the sports matchup that we're going to be covering today, as well as some amazing current events and happenings. And I guess the last time I saw you guys was the Colts and Chiefs game here in Kansas City at Arrowhead. It was another one of these must win games for the Chiefs, and today is no different, okay? So we might have had Thanksgiving since I saw you last. We might have had a lot of things happening in the outside world. You guys might have had a lot going on to yourselves too, maybe some astrological revelations of sorts. So I'm definitely excited to be here today, yapping about it all with you as much as I can. I do have quite a busy life outside of talking about the cosmos, which is why I love doing these live streams. It's like my own weekly hangout with everyone. So tonight is the Sunday night football matchup against the Texans and the Chiefs, and that's what we are here to talk about. I am based in Kansas City as well as born and raised in Kansas City. I took some time off and wandered all over the West Coast, spent some time on the East Coast, and I have to say that I love the Midwest. The people here are a little bit anxious for me. A lot of them have nervous disorders, and I can see that expressed in the Midwestern hoarding that we have, as well as just the general like on edgedness of everyone. And what I love about the coast is that airy, breezy coastal feeling of like, hey, we've got an ocean. What more can we fucking stress about? Like, there's an ocean over there. We can go sit by it if we get too much. Like, people back in the day really had it figured out with like, just prescribe somebody to go get some fresh salt air. But with all of that being said, welcome into my Sunday live show. We've had a lot going on. If you guys are new here, if you are just tuning in, if you just found me this week, if you just found me in the last couple weeks, there's been a lot going on. Last Scorpio new moon, which was in my fifth house, I was gracing the airwaves of BetMGM Network. And now with this full moon in Gemini, I was featured on college football Reddit. They called me a top analyst. Like, what? I am now labeled a top football analyst. I haven't paid attention to college football since, I'm going to say 2018, if we're being honest. Like, I left sports media, like traditional airwaves. I left ESPN airwaves in around that time. Like, so I just fell out of love with sports. I still watch the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs are the one team that I will always follow no matter fucking what happens, right? Like, I love the Chiefs. That's why I'm here every week. I went to K State and I did not graduate. I came home with a darling bundle of joy, my beautiful daughter, who is now 13 years old. So that's how long ago I went to K State. And I loved Manhattan, Kansas since longer than I can remember. I grew up being a bit of a mythological feature or figure on the internet. When the internet was invented, by Al Gore, of course, I was in fifth or sixth grade. So, or when it became mainstream, like 1999, 2000, I was in fifth and sixth grade. I like remember our computers started hooking up to a network, and that was exciting. We could go out and search things on this encyclopedia. It was very cool. I'm a Gemini moon. I'm ruled by a Gemini moon, as I am ruled by the moon, not only as a woman, but also my astrological chart. Fun fact, if you're a man, you're ruled by the sun and have a 24-hour energy cycle. And for women, you are ruled by the moon and you have a 28-day energy cycle. And I bet you guys know what that 28-day cycle correlates with. But the fact that I was already somebody that wanted to just yap a fuck ton about random stuff. Hey, Mariah. Of course, Mariah's in here. We got the Etsy witch in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, when I'm telling this story, because this story leads to my gratitude, honestly. Like, I am in such a place right now where, like, no one can say shit to me. like at all. Like I am living my dream. If I went back and told my 18-year-old self what I do every day and what I get to do every day and the lifestyle I live, she'd be like, "How did you do this? Like what did you do? You know? Like how did you get there?" And I'm like, "You're not going to like it, but it's going to be a really fun time in the end, right?" Um but that's the thing. Like we all try to live lives that we would be proud of if we were our teenage or childhood selves. Like some of us were like real shithead teenagers. I ended up being quite a shithead teenager, but it's like that's a rite of passage. If you weren't a shithead as a teenager, like what were you doing? It's the time that you're supposed to be reckless, annoy the hell out of your parents. It's the one time in life that you are still a child and yet get to act out and do wild shit like adults do. And they can't say anything. And if you commit crimes, your parents have to pay for them. I'm not suggesting this, okay? I got off track. I got off track. We need to get back to the point. The point is, when the internet came out, I started using the internet as like my own personal, like, promotional use. Like, I would find random websites. They were like old school internet forums, like where people signed up. You could truly have an anonymous account, honestly. It was back in the day when you could be anonymous online, which is sounds so crazy for people now. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean the internet used to be where you could be anonymous? Yeah, I was 14 years old posting in college forums. It was way before Facebook, on this like Kansas underground website, and it was run by this crazy dude that was older than everyone, of course, but like was in a college town. So I got connected with Manhattan, Kansas a long ass time ago. And this was like a party website. And so my high school friends introduced it to me and they're like, yeah, we just find college parties on this website. And sometimes they're cool, sometimes they're bust, but whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I really and truly honestly can't even remember how I stumbled across it, but I did. And I know that people were like using it to find random parties, but like most of the people on there were like real life people. There's no bots in this internet. And I started meeting them. Like I'm still close with one of them today. She's known me since I was 14 years old. She had no idea how young I was because I would lie about my age to go party in college parties when I was, barely out of middle school. So when I say that I had a really fun time, the first part of my life, like I don't know if you guys know that song by the Rolling Stones, Shattered, and it's just life's just a cocktail party on the streets. That's literally what I thought. I grew up with a very, very, very larger than life character of a father who happened to be a rugby player here in Kansas City. He's in the Hall of Fame for rugby with the Kansas City Blues. And he's a Hall of Fame character too. And before that, he was at Western State in Gunnison, Colorado, and played an entire college football game on acid and gave it to his teammates. So I grew up with some characters, right? They were the last crusaders of the hippie movement. My mom was very much a free spirit. She moved away from home when she was really young, worked her way from a pickle factory to one of the first women in IT of Sprint, like Sprint, the telephone company. Back in the day, if you're old enough to know what Sprint Mobile is, I guess it was only a few years ago that they like dissolved, but they had their world headquarters here in Kansas City, and my mom made a name for herself in the telecommunications world just because she was a boss ass bitch. And all she did was work. And I know that because all I did was hang out with my babysitters. And that's kind of where I got a lot of flair too. Like I just have always been a yapper. I tell stories. I write a lot. And if it's not in my gratitude journal, it's in my Christian Dior journal that showed up at my house one day. I guess Dior misses when I used to buy a lot more from them. So surprise, Gracey. Um, I don't know what I do without writing. Like I literally scribble on everything. I have a collection of post-it notes from all the live streams that we've done and all the numbers that I predicted. Writing has just been one of the most therapeutic things in the world. So my foray into writing was sure essays and shit from school. I hated school. It was so boring. all the noises drove me insane. Like when it was winter, I wish that I could wear headphones like the kids do now, because like I would literally want to murder half of my classmates. Like I love them outside of the cafeteria and outside of a winter setting where everyone's sick and sniffling or coughing every 5 seconds. That was my personal hell. So looking back on it, did I have some sort of, as the kids call it, tism? Who fucking knows? I am too old to get a diagnosis of anything these days. I don't give a fuck what this used to do. I'm here now, and my neuroplasticity is at an all-time high. I keep my fucking brain going. I keep my mind open. And that's probably why a lot of people have always just been like, who the fuck does she think she is? I'm the girl that read books all the time. Instead of lots and lots of in real life friends, I had like random chat room friends, book club friends. I had my books that were actually more like friends. And I had like my horses. I had just like random people that I would latch onto. Some of my dad's close friends that were kind of like his party friends became like a little bit of mentors to me, which didn't always, render for the best advice, but here we are. Some of them made a huge impact on me. So stories and storytelling and writing has always been a thing for me. Some of you, as we're talking about reintroductions, thank you, Mariah. I appreciate you saying that I'm from some absolute legends. I feel like I am, but the thing is about life that I'm starting to understand, and it's not because I'm like, oh, I'm trying to be humble. I'm not trying to be humble, I promise you. I I realize that everyone has such a fucking story to tell. And even more in astrology, because I do astrology through simply hallucinating through symbols, if we're being honest. Like let's just open it and see what we land on. Libra 25 degrees. The sight of an autumn leaf brings a pilgrim to the sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. What the fuck? Like, how are you supposed to know that that's what your sun sign like is represented by, and then be like, life is meaningless and nothing is real and it's all an alien overlord simulation? It's like, or it could be a secret third thing where we have the ability to see symbols, we have the ability to chart patterns, we have the ability to recognize ourselves and others, and in those patterns and in those symbols. So if we're capable of doing that as humans, and we've seen that proof through, I don't know, since the dawn of time, with scribblings on the walls and the Venus statues and all the incredible creations that humankind has come up with, those are the artists. Those are the people that get remembered, the people that scribble on the walls, the people that fucking make sculptures and bury them in rituals, the people that give honor to the dead by cloaking them in their finest cloths, putting their finest stones in there, and sending them off to an afterlife with the fucking hope that years down the road, someone finds it. That's what the beauty of civilization is. And if you're an anthropologist, God bless you. Hopefully you are out of the sharp talons of academia that shuns the belief of pretty much anything supernatural. But like, let's talk about this degree. The sudden revelation of the mystery of life and death. There is no mystery, is the mystery, right? And like, I can say that pretty confidently, as I believe that we simply go back to the earth, and we go back to the earth in whatever form that is, and our consciousness gets to experience what the next version of the world we created is. Like, I just feel like there's just no end, and if you understand the serpent, the Ouroboros of things, the cosmic egg, whatever you want to look at it, I feel like, not paying homage to the creator in the form of the birth and the growth and the expansion of this universe, and to just be like, nah, this was just all a random explosion and we're run by reptilian overlords. I really love when people just like focus on, like, what is it, the elites and the people in charge, and they sound fucking nuts. Like, that's why, like, a lot of these spiritual people that you'll run into are really off-putting. I have no other way to put it. Like, some of these people are fucking lunatics. and they don't relate to humans in current form, shape, reality because they're in another realm. Like, and I think they're great because when you have people like that have such strong convictions and strong beliefs, you know that they stand for something, okay? So, like, yeah, they're fucking nuts and they might be using light codes and doing way too much and they might not even be doing anything. Like, one day we could get to the end and it all stops and the curtain goes up and it's like aliens behind the cameras being like, hey, we've been watching this whole time through the animals on this earth. They're actually just satellites, and how you treat nature is how you get treated in return. That's one dream I've had, which is pretty wild. I've also seen interactions where dogs can communicate perfectly with psychics, and I just don't put anything to like impossible stage. So, yeah, if you want to believe that this world is run by elite people that siphon everything and that everything's bad and evil, that's what the world will open up and show you. Like, you only find what you're seeking. And if you're not seeking anything, then you usually find a bunch of bullshit and problems and drama. One of my favorite books that I read through the spiritual unbecoming of what was GAT, Gracey and Terrell, my full name, which I don't know why I'm telling you that, but the entire internet knows at this point. Like, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm only Gracey Terrell in the world. A lot of people can duplicate that. Like, if you have a unique name, chances are you're the only one out there. Like, so use that name. And like, I don't want to be priestess, a light seed or star seed. I'm sorry, they're not light. Maybe they're light seeds. I don't fucking know. But I'm really not trying to be like a title of anything outside of my name. So it's been incredible to be like, hey guys, I've been learning and growing and shifting with so many of you in this process of the unbecoming of sorts. But the book that I read that shifted a lot of things was The Four Agreements, and it's by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's all about be impeccable with your word, always do your best, don't take it personal, and don't make assumptions. There's so much about these agreements that like kind of opened up my brain. The number one ones that I was addicted to drama. And as a Gemini moon, anyone with Gemini placements, it's like, look, don't tell me that I'm addicted to a fun time. Like, I don't want to hear it. But part of Mercury placements are working with your nervous system and feeling safe in your own body. And I don't think that was something that I ever experienced growing up. So knowing that that was the case, I wanted to find something that brought me peace. And learning how addicted I was to drama, there was even a point where I left my keys to my brand new luxury SUV in the car, unlocked in my driveway with no cameras on my house, and my car got stolen, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And for a while I was like, how could this happen? And then I'm like, duh, bitch, you left your keys in the car. I am usually a lot nicer when I talk to myself, but when your luxury SUV gets stolen from your driveway, you're like, god damn, how did this happen? I like saying luxury SUV, I don't know why. It just keeps happening. But yeah, it was stolen. It was gone. All right, peace, sayonara. Used in a shooting, apparently, with the cartel that I found out later. This is all real, very real. So I have no problem saying it. That I learned a lot from that. I learned that the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department is a joke, and the Overland Park Police Department was incredibly rude and accused my elderly father of being the one that somehow stole the car, crashed it into something, had a bunch of bullet holes in it, but was in bed sleeping. I don't know. It was insane. I'm just really glad that 2022 is done. That was a wild year. Weeks before that, I was in a shooting, real life, with my partner and I. We were out celebrating just a date night, and it turns out so were a lot of people that had a lot of anger going on, and they used that to fire off a gun in a crowd of people just chilling and waiting for late night hamburgers. So really wild. I also learned how much that, like, what you seek often is seeking you in return, whether that's drama, chaos, whatever, or enlightenment. And you get to choose, and you get to choose what it is that you're going to fuel your journey with. And if you're into any of that, cool. If all of this has been like, shut the fuck up, get to the sports predictions, joke's on you. This is my show. I do what I want. So you can either watch it or peace out. I'm going to choose to, you know, keep the theme of the sports astrology stuff going. So, after all of this chaos, after all of this stuff got out of my system, I ended up turning into quite the social media personality. I was done with the hiding behind alter egos and writing for random forums. I decided to be like truly myself. And that self was a little bit chaotic still. And that's okay. Like, the chaos isn't just supposed to go away. I still love having a great time. That's a part of spirituality that I'm like, I think some of these people really lose touch with. Like, yeah, I've got the water that's supposed to be great for you, the Kangen water. I've got the light bulbs that are supposed to be better for you. But then I sit in front of an LED ring light and I'm like, hey, but there's just so much that we can learn from our journeys and like the way that we operated in the chaos. And if you don't learn shit from it too, that's fine. Like, you could just keep going. You could say, blinders on, I'm going to live my life completely ignorantly, do whatever the fuck I want, not care who I hurt, not care who I harm. But in reality, a lot of us are spiritual without knowing it. So I like to bring that practical, grounded approach to spirituality because I live in the heart of the Midwest, right? Kansas City is right smack dab in Tornado Alley, as well as the Bible Belt. So I'm not going to pretend that Kansas City Chiefs and K-State both don't have heavily biblical audiences. And, I ran into one of them this week. And this week was pretty entertaining. The last couple of weeks have been in general. My girlfriend Kelly reached out, and Kelly and I have known each other through the internet, through Twitter, 2009 when I got on there. So Kelly was one of the first accounts, of course, you follow as a K-State fan, and she's fucking hilarious. And so we just ended up hitting it off. I was insane back then. I like checked into Foursquare with my home address on Twitter and like just shared it. Like, didn't think anything of it. 2009 was wild. And then I would like go out and drink all night, post random tweets from being drunk, and then come back and be like, oh, gotta delete those. My mom followed me on Twitter. She was always like, what the hell? So it's just chaos. And that was my old GAT attack account. Once again, my initials GAT. That's what everyone called me for the longest time, mostly because when you meet me in that mode, I'm like way more of a GAT than a Gracey. As I've matured, as I've gotten a little bit older, as I've stepped more into from the maiden to the mother phase, I'm nowhere near the crone stage yet, which I'm grateful for because my mom's there and she can be the wise crone that I go to, and I don't need to be there yet. But knowing that I had that kind of like split personality almost, it was very much like the the spiritual side of things just kind of like brought me back together. So I started going by Gracey again. Everyone calls me that now that's close with me. When I hear GAT, I'm like, you don't know me. Okay, cool. But then I also know there's a whole group of people that I disappeared from because I wasn't in sports media anymore. So they didn't see me and they didn't know the side of me and they didn't follow up with it. So it's okay. Like, I don't judge any of it because all of those moments I'm like, I did just judge by saying, you don't know me. But look, like, those nicknames are going to stick around for the rest of my life. It's my initials. It's not like some random like radio show name that I had to change because some other motherfucker owns the likeness to it. Nope, never sold out, never sold that. 100% own everything that's mine, which is kind of nice, but at the same time that's a lot of responsibility, right? Shit. There's a lot about the astrological journey that like kind of made my friendship with Kelly into this really cool, ever growing, evolving roller coaster of information and insights. And how can we use this new talent that you have to like boost your, visibility. Like, Kelly's one of my biggest cheerleaders. Her and Ariel are like the two people that will always tell me, keep going, Gracey, keep going, and share this. You should post this on Twitter. And that's what Kelly told me about Colin Klein's birth chart and the synastry with K-State. So I'm glad I did that. But backtracking to Mariah coming in, she just posted this great video of welcome to the K-State witch, and she is sharing the entire backstory, including some fucking hilarious tweets from K-State fans, which it kind of made me like miss K-State football, because I'm like, damn, the Twitter fan base of K-State is pretty fucking awesome. And they're like fun people too. So I'm here for it. But I will include the link to the video in the description so you guys can learn more about Mariah. If you don't know about me, clearly I have no problem talking for the last, I think, 30 minutes about myself. No worries, whatever. You guys need to know that. But there's just so much about like how you can do anything you want and everything you want. You don't have to separate yourself. Like I was really compartmentalizing a lot of the things in my life. I'd be like, this is my fitness account. This is my personal account. This is my professional account. This is my burner account. Like, too much. Now my private Instagram, I refuse to like let people that I don't vehemently no, people that I don't intimately, but not like intimately like that, no, follow, because I'm like, we're not friends. I don't know you. Except a random HGTV superstar here in Kansas City decided to ask to follow me. I'm like, fuck yeah, you're a friend. Why not? So there's that. Apparently you just need to be HGTV famous, and then I will be like, yes, we are best friends. But no, I feel like I'm now like merged my personality into one place, and Gracey is the best, person I could possibly be. That's my name. That's my God-given name. It's not Grace. My name is not Grace. It's Gracey. And the only people that can call me Grace are elderly relatives of mine, but not any of my aunts, because I don't like them. So it could be like my dad and my grandma's passed. So it's really just my dad now, or my mom. But I love that there's the ability there to kind of like grow and change, morph all the parts of yourself into one. You get to be the writer, the chaotic person. Like I still have chaos within. I tweet a lot of like very like obscure things for a lot of people. I also share cosmic insight with people, which probably seems obscure to them, but I speak a different language now, and that language is the cosmos. And I'm grateful that I found astrology during my Saturn return. I'm grateful for the annoying co-host that I had that introduced me back to astrology by irritating me so much about it. Like, what do you mean we have the whole zodiac in our chart? Like, what do you mean there's a whole chart? It's not just your sun. And she annoyed me so much with this information that I went and looked at it. And that is the most Aries type of mentality, is to be annoyed by something and be like, okay, now I have to go find it. But knowing that there's so much of my past that is full of gunslinging, takedowns, and pretty brutal takedowns. Like I found a like screenshot from back in the day when someone that was like really well known in the Kansas City area had in their bio, I'm just trying not to get trolled by Gat. And I'm like, that's me. So yeah, I was real vocal about my beliefs, thoughts, opinions, which is why kind of now in the astrology community, I'm like, you guys are bad at fighting. Like they like literally fight over technique, and they're like, you're wrong about what this planet represents. I'm like, I would have gone after your whole family. I'm like, your bloodline is disappointed in your obvious ignorance to the celestial beauty of this placement. And like, come on, do better. Or like they dox people. Like, okay, if you use your real name on the internet, people can find you. I don't know if you know this. Like it's pretty easy. You don't have to have Scorpio placements to find people and where they live and all that, but it's just weird, right? The energy that you bring to the internet is the energy you receive in return. So back then I was chaotic, picking on people, laughing at people. But I could do that because I was pretty safe and felt pretty secure in who I was as a person. Do I still? Absolutely. Like if I ever chose to wake up and decimate someone on the timeline, it would be the end of their comfortability on the internet, at least. I don't want to say that they delete their account and run, but like if I chose to speak out about the things that are available in my wheelhouse of interactions with people, like I could. And that's what like I don't think people really understand. Karma is not just some you cut somebody off on the road and then you get hit by a wrecking ball and die. Like that's not how it works. It's a lot of how you treat people. It's a lot of how you approach things. It's a lot of the things you say. Vox Shadi is something that I'm really diving into understanding more from the Hindu perspective of people who are highly favored and highly blessed oracles. I don't know, like Mariah, the Etsy witch that broke a curse of K-State football. Um, the shit that they say and the shit that they do tends to either come true or come to fruition in a random fashion that they might not have been able to predict, but it was bigger than their wildest imagination, right? And so when you go around speaking the truth, embodying the truth, living the truth, also questioning yourself. Like there are times where my brain is like, I know I can get away with this if I use this, and this excuse, whatever. And then higher self is like, we're really doing this again. I have a Pisces stellium, so me not playing the victim is huge. Like huge. I can't do the Donald Trump impersonation. I'm sorry. But if I could, huge. Just imagine. But like it's so important to be able to let go of the how, what, when, where, why, and just be like, fuck yeah, I'm excited to be here. Fuck yeah, I'm really looking forward to being here. Like I have refused lately to prescribe to a logical, rational life. I just won't do it. I refuse. And having that ability to be like, look, keep your mind open, keep growing, keep learning, keep a different perspective, and know when you are in the wrong. Knowing when you are in the wrong is fucking incredible. It is a superpower beyond superpowers. I analyze things on the level of a multifaceted diamond, right? It is like hard as fuck for me to let go of something if I feel like I don't understand the why of a situation. And so part of learning to just be like, fuck it, we ball, is being like, I can't control anything outside of myself. So what other people do is a reflection of them, and I don't need to fucking worry about it. And yeah, I've stopped really talking to a lot of frivolous and extraneous type of people that weren't really contributing a lot to my life, but demanded a lot of me. And I'm like, that's interesting. But I have a unique talent, and so do you. That's the beauty of it all. We all have these gifts that we are put on this world to experience, to embody, to work through, to climb through, to wade through, whatever it is your journey. You know, having a more holistic, like well-rounded approach to it is the best thing you could do for yourself, and allowing yourself the time to dare to dream, dare to see the magic in everything. Like there's just so much that we are capable of fixing with our mindset and seeing when we are not living in our truth. Does it take a lot for that to happen? Absolutely. If I like went into the story of my spiritual journey, it would take a long time, and we don't have that today. So what I'm trying to say is that I am really grateful to be able to fully express myself in this lifetime, to be around people this lifetime that are fully expressing themselves. I linked Kelly, one of my favorite people in the world. Her son is actually exact to my vertex in the 5th house, which is the gambling, hobbies, love, children, joy, creativity. There's so much there. And it's also about the individual as it is the house of Leo. But having her son in my exact my vertex, which is opposite my moon, Kelly has pulled me out of my comfort zones more than I've liked for myself. I have been like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to say, fuck it, share the weird stuff, say the weird thing, do the strange thing, share the strange thought that popped into your head. Like leading up into my journey of becoming an astrologer, I had so many interactions with people where I would ask them something and they would just start crying and they'd be like, "How did you know that?" Or "How did you know to ask that?" Like, where did you get this information? I'm like, "I don't fucking know. I had a feeling." One time my ring finger went numb when I was talking to one of my friends, and I'm like, what did you do with the ring? What happened with the ring? What was going on?" And she had mentioned that she almost had to go sell her mother's wedding ring to stay afloat, but ended up the jeweler's like, "No, we're not going to do that. And we can tell you're in a vulnerable place and this means a lot to you. So we can't accept this." And I don't know who that jeweler was, but I just want to say thank you to them because my friend was in a vulnerable place. And after hearing that, she just broke down and she's like, "What? How in the world did you know that?" It happened with business associates. I would sit down and start a conversation with them and be like, "Yeah, you have," he would talk about their kids. I'm like, "Yeah, you have a 10-year-old, right?" And he's like, "I would have had a 10-year-old. She would have been 10. Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. That's strange." But like that, it just kept happening. And I was in these very masculine situations, very masculine world of sports media and also consulting. I was doing media consulting with my Gap Media company, which I had the bossiest photo shoot for. But all of it was just kind of like not serving. Like the business side of it wasn't serving my best interests. I still felt hollow. I still drank all the time. Pisces, stellium, heyo. That's really just something that like kept happening, whether I was drinking, whether I was sober, whether I was just sitting at home. There's just information that would come to me and I'm like, what is this? But that this it's something that I'm developing. I only offer my magical services to those in my life that I truly love, know, respect, admire. It's mostly my family. There are people that I also offer spell work or, candle services to, but it's not advertised because I'm like, I'm not really the person to do that. I like to keep my family and like little bubble contained, right? Like I'm not in that stage of my life yet. Will I be one day? Who knows? But when I know that there are people that have a fucking gift for magic in a way that has changed my life, that has changed the lives of people that I know, they have been able to clear huge blockages in my life and talk about things that they wouldn't have known unless they were actually the real deal. And that person is Mariah. And so another Sagittarius woman that just rules the roost and travels the world and is unapologetically herself. Mariah has brought more to my life, my businesses, and all my adventures than anyone I've ever met from the internet, okay? Like, when I say that I've had some collaborations from hell, it's like people who have never done the work in a group project, but then are like, "Hey, you look fun. You look like you'll do the work for me. Let's latch on." And like, I was always that person in group projects that would do the most or then like freak out because that no one else is going to organize it like you. So yeah, having someone else that seems like a group leader of the group project, is a real great vibe. And Kelly came to me with this hex and I'm like, I haven't been paying attention to K-State in ages. It's been, 7 years exactly. And that's a Saturn cycle. So 8 years will be a Venus cycle. That'll be next year. Very excited to be out of that Saturn cycle, K-State football. But there's magic to be had when there's people that are able to live strongly in their magic and share their magic and their practice. So while I don't specialize in magical work, I know people that do. So when Kelly's like, "We've got this thing, it's the Irish hex," and I'm like, I think I remember Ireland something like one of the like KSU windbreaker, or Snyder's windbreaker, which if you don't know, Bill Snyder used to wear a windbreaker. Bill Snyder was the head coach that saved K-State football and turned them all around, took them to national contention. But of course, Texas A&M destroyed our dreams and hopes and everything else. And then Baylor did in 2012 when we were number one in the nation, went down to Baylor and they beat us, and that didn't last very long. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Thanks, Baylor. Thanks, I don't like Texas. I have no interest in living there. I have no interest in Texas at all. I watch things about Texas. I am going to visit a library in Texas where the Sabian symbol flashcards are stored, but I just don't have any interest in Texas. Like I don't, and it's probably all stemming from my hatred of the Texas teams from Big 12 growing up years. I was either KU or K-State, rooting for them. You know, I didn't have any allegiance until later on in my life. There's still a picture of me somewhere in a KU jersey that my friend Jesse, R.I.P. Jesse, had seen and like used to make fun of me all the time for. But when Jesse passed away, I ended up wearing a KU shirt in his honor with my purple hair to the Big 12 tournament. And that was just, you know, it was a real nice touch to just be like, hey, hope they win it all for you. They at least won the tournament, so there's that. They didn't win March Madness, but they did the next year. I'm pretty sure it was, 2018. I can't remember. Yeah, it was 2018. But, you know, there's just so much about, like, things and lore from the K-State years that you wouldn't even know unless you knew all these things. So Texas sucks as a state, so that's why I'm not really excited about playing the Texans today for the Chiefs. I'm over it. I'm not a fan. You guys just already know the bias coming into this. I don't try to hide the fact that I'm always going to root for the Chiefs, and I'm always going to try to pick the Chiefs and see how they can win, okay? So, like, if you're here to be like, I need unbiased information, it's for me. It's not gonna happen. I am wearing a Yale shirt today. I don't really know why. It was the one that was cleaning on top of my t-shirt pile, so there's that. And it's a solid color. I don't like wearing things that aren't solid colors on here. But going back to the tweet, right, I saw KSU windbreaker being like, he like bought an Etsy witch spell to remove something while they were in Ireland, or like while it happened. I'm not sure. But then the Irish curse is like this thing that follows these teams back. Like Nebraska and Florida State are perfect examples of former superpowers in college football that went to Ireland and then had this goddamn hex put on them. So it's just real weird energy. And I'm like, I knew that had happened. So I had responded back, hey, look, if you're worried about an Etsy witch getting to use some rose quartz, definitely carry some selenite with you, and say some sort of affirmations of sovereignty, like I am a sovereign being and I call all of my energy back to me, things like that. Those can be protection spells, of course. So there's some little witchcraft tips if you are looking to clear your energetic channel. But I had mentioned, like, maybe every K-State fan needs to bring selenite. I don't know. Maybe that's something that they need to do. But with that being said, like, I just didn't really think of it, and it kind of moved on. But when Kelly brought it up, I'm like, okay, I think I know what you're talking about. I want nothing to do with that. And I don't know of anyone else that I trust with that type of magic and that type of skill besides Mariah. Like, I've seen Mariah work wonders. I've seen Mariah bring so many opportunities while she's in Canada, lives nowhere near Kansas. She's in Canada and still making moves happen in Kansas. Like, that's why I'm like, the energy world is real. And if the Bible Belt people need any more, proof that this is real, not only did K-State end up winning their last game of the season, becoming bowl eligible, which is really what I thought that we were trying to focus on when I was telling Mariah, I'm like, hey, just wait. Big things are going to happen. We'll find out on December 7th, which is today, what bowl game the Wildcats can go to, which, by the way, I have no idea. I'm not paying attention to any of that. So if you guys know, you can feel free to put it in the chat. I don't know if it happens until, I think it's later tonight, probably while the Chiefs game is going, if I remember. If I remember bowl selection Sunday like it used to be, but now college football playoff, who fucking knows? Um, but they will like get maybe a bowl game, and that'll be their big moment where it's like, okay, guys, this worked. And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, I keep thinking it's bigger than that. Like the more I thought about what she did and how she described seeing these faces and people in uniform. Like I went to this old ass boarding school in high school in Indiana, and they have the walls lined with the dudes from the 1800s, and I'm just like, this is creepy. But right when she said that, I remember those photos, and I was like, that's what that is. It's like a flashback of, it's almost like you old kids or you young kids won't know this, but like those slideshow like carousels, and when they would spin around really quickly and then it turned into film, and they're like, oh, we can make real things with this. Cameras were invented. It was awesome. I'm not that old, but I'm saying like those slideshow things where you click a button and it changes. That's what it felt like to me. So she mentioned that, and I'm like, this shit's really deep. Like this shit's really going in there. Like I think that this is big. So when Kelly was like, shared something that Chris Kleiman was retiring, and I'm like, holy shit. And then I saw the tweet like that not only is he retiring, but Colin Klein, the last quarterback of K-State football that I truly paid attention to. Like I even traveled down to the Fiesta Bowl to watch us get our asses kicked by Oregon. And then the guy that I was dating was insane and like ran off at halftime in the middle of Glendale, Arizona. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is my problem now. Don't date children. Like, don't date grown men that behave like children. Like, hello. Just ridiculous. So that was my last experience with Colin Klein. He came back to K-State, worked as offensive coordinator for a little bit, or I can't remember the coaching position. Once again, was not paying attention for a long time. But he was down at A&M, so he's back now from A&M back to K-State. And when that happened, I was just like fucking in awe. I was like, that is the coolest shit. This is a person that I get to talk to on a daily basis. If that's the case, I'm like one of those people that will like burst of communication is very Aries like, but you know, I get to talk to this person, I get to work with this person, and now this person is part of the like sports witch community. So now Mariah is in this amazing spotlight with K-State fans talking all about her gifts and her abilities as a witch. And for something like this to happen at a Kansas school, like we're talking the only state that's like not legalized marijuana, even though every other state around it has. And you're just like, what are you waiting for? And it's like, we're Kansas. That's what we're waiting for. We are old as shit at Astra Perispera. That's what we're doing. It's through hardship to the stars. You got to do a lot of farm work and then you'll go to heaven is basically what they tell you here in Kansas. So knowing that like there's now energy workers, Mariah does Reiki, she does readings, she does so many cool things. You can check out her Etsy store as well as her website. You can contact her directly as well if you'd like to work with her. She's very visible. I like when people like have to advertise their readings all the time, I'm like, do your links not work? Do your things not work? Because like if you're doing the work and you're living the life and you're walking in that purpose, people find you. People show up. If you build it, they will come. Another Midwestern classic, Field of Dreams. So I don't know shit about Canada. I really don't. But I do know that it's probably a lot colder than Kansas. And I'm like, Mariah, you got to come down to Kansas. You got to come to a game. This whole thing has gotten to the point where I'm just like in awe of what's possible when brilliant people get together and share their brilliance with others. And I'm just glad to be a part of it in the way that I was. Seeing Kelly link it all together with our text message, I felt like, you know, you're really cool when you have a coven of really cool witches around you. And my best friend and I started our own little group back in 2020, and it was called, or 2021 is when it launched. It was called Cosmic Shit Show. And just talking about all the happenings from a pretty real place, not this like, I'm a starseed from the Pleiadian galaxy. Please listen to everything I say. I am actually an alien. Um, I love those people because, honest to God, I could watch them all day because it's like watching Luna Lovegood in the wild. You're just like, oh my God, this is what she would be doing. And I think we should all live life with a little bit of mystery and magic and goofiness. Like, I'm going to go do a photo shoot in my backyard after this, and it's for my magazine that I write with Mariah and Ninth House Publishing that I co own with Mariah. And that is just like, we get to do all this shit, and our ancestors would have been killed for it. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, I feel so fucking blessed and grateful each and every day that I get to do what I do, which is why I've now spent an hour talking about it, because why not? If there's times where you get to share the things that you're passionate about and how you ended up that way, fucking do it. And this is honestly just going to give me shorts content for the next like 15 fucking years. So why not? If there's an ability for you to share, why not? It is holiday time in the house, by the way. So we've got so many things going on. I don't even know if you guys can hear the Christmas music going on upstairs, but it's like that old time Christmas music. My dad is on the way out to lunch with a friend. We've got a new dog. I haven't even talked about my dog at all. I've just been so blown away by like how the world works and how I am lucky enough to be a part of it all. And this upcoming magazine is phenomenal. Like, we get to make an issue with some people that are so brilliant, that are so authentic and so genuine in what they do and what they bring to this world, that I get to really, like, I don't know, geek out about this one. So if you're excited to geek out about more of the cosmic happenings and you want a little bit more magic in your life, follow Mariah, follow the Northern Mag, follow Ninth House Publishing. It's pretty much just my brain expanded into different regions, and that's what I do with these creative projects. And there's even more authors that we get to bring into first time solo book publishing next year. And there could be even more books coming from us. I know that I'll be publishing my full and new moon guide to Aries through Pisces season. And that'll be starting March 2026 with that. So yeah, we've got some really cool shit happening. And then next year, we already have new voices coming to life, and new voices being kind of promised to bring their magic to the Northern. So I'm geeked out. I'm happy. I'm geeked out. When I'm happy, I'm pretty unfuckwithable. So don't try me right now, please. Like, if you want to like talk shit, if you want to say some wild shit to me, like, I had this one K-State fan, which, hey, look, I just want to say, if anyone in this world respects the Bible, it is a ninth house Pisces Mercury, okay? I love that shit. I love old shit. And the Bible, Quran, Torah, all these ancient, and powerful books to certain religions are incredible. I love ancient shit no matter what it is. But what I love more than ancient shit is truthful shit, okay? And what you can't do with the Bible is tell me a single fucking thing about how there's some sort of being in the sky that is jealous, unsurly, and vengeful, and then be like, but it's only towards these type of people. It's only with these certain days of the week. I'm like, I don't need a universe with all these rules. The only rule that I follow is treat others how you want to be treated. And I learned a fucking lesson this week with my speedy ass attitude when I crashed my car into my garage door, okay? And lately my mantra has been like, show me how easy it can be. Show me how easy it can be, and I will listen. And crashed my car into the garage And in an hour, I had somebody like from the emergency garage door service show up, been it all back into shape, completely fine. The only thing that happened is I took out a chunk of insulation with the hood of my or the back part of my car, and we moved on. Like nothing, no insurance claim, nothing. It was like $200, right? And I'm sitting here like, did that just happen? In my head, I'm like, this is gonna be 10 grand. I'm gonna have to take out a fucking loan and get a new garage door because this one won't come down. All the neighbors will drive by and be like, look at this idiot with their garage door stuck open and it's 10 degrees outside. Very stressful, right? For no reason, for no fucking reason. And I was like, this is something that is easy. And it just showed up as easy as it did. And it was fixed within an hour, painless. Before the love of my life even got home, I like texted him a picture and was like, hey babe, so I crashed into the garage. And then he's like, what? Is everything okay? And I'm like, yes, the picture looked horrible. From the outside looked horrible. And then like just over an hour and a half later, I'm like, everything's fixed and we were good. Like life is good. No need to worry about any loans. No need to worry about getting a brand new garage door and somehow managing to do Christmas in this economy. Like, come on. So it was a really fun moment. I was like, holy shit. Okay. Like this is as easy as it could have gotten for me with all the fucking problems I had. I made one phone call, had the kids picked up, and someone was like, oh, this is easy. It just shows you a lot that like your community might not be what you wanted it to be. It might not be this perfect little group of people all wearing white and chanting under the new moons with you, but you can do that. And you can start doing that. And the moment you start doing these things, people show up, right? It's just what it is. And one last thing, I was looking at the chart of the moment I decided I am not going to sit back another fucking major seasonal shift like it was March 4th. Let me just pull it up. I have it on here. Might as well, right? Might as well. I'm going to go ahead and say that it might be one of my last charts. We'll be like, when did I decide to pull up the Northern? There it is. March 3rd. So 3-3. Just another reason it's probably a portal. Here we go. The Northern Magazine is a Virgo rising at 9 degrees exactly, and that is the artist degree. So I'm fucking thrilled. I just now am looking at this. Pisces Sun, Pisces Saturn, conjunct Sun, Pisces Mercury, Pisces Neptune, North Node in Aries, conjunct Chiron, Sagittarius Moon. Thank you. And yeah, Jupiter in Taurus. It's fucking beautiful. And it's trine the rising and forms a nice little trine with Ceres in Capricorn. Beautiful chart. I don't know if you can see it. I have weird screen things, but beautiful chart. Love it. And really love to see that Sagittarius moon is there because I feel like it's global, but it's from my home, which is perfectly fine for me. But like this whole process, like I just woke up one day and was like, I am sick of not doing what I think is enough. And apparently enough for me is launching a magazine by myself and then being like, wait, I know who to contact for this. And it was Mariah. So we like met through Twitter a very long time ago. What it seems like a very long time ago. It wasn't. I think it was like 2022. Yeah, the synastry is insane. Honestly, it's like perfect. It's exactly what I've needed. So this magazine is going to continue to grow, mostly because I have a Sagittarius editor that is expansive and bountiful in so many ways and brings that energy to her work, to her friends, to her circle, all of it. So big advertisement for Mariah. This entire like I feel like live stream is like, if you aren't convinced by now to go get your long distance Reiki done with Mariah, you should absolutely do that. If you have the extra funds available, you should just jump on over there and check out her readings. I will put her link once again in the description. So yeah, I'm just really excited about this one. Now that I've spent like an hour yapping about all the fun things that I've had going on this week. Didn't introduce my dog Coco, but she's beautiful and she's perfect. And I'm so glad because I've taken my neighbors to court over their insane treatment of their dogs and how they would just leave them outside barking their heads off all day long. And I'm like, nah, not up in here. So I'm glad that she is so well behaved and really a chill dog. I'm like, this is the best thing I could have ever asked for. It's just like blends in perfectly. So we're going to jump into the game finally. Okay, everyone? I've had no complaints because Mariah and I have been enjoying this entire stream. Mostly because, you know, when you're able to celebrate the things you do with other people, and she posted a hilarious video last night just about her lack of knowledge of all this stuff and all the football lore of K-State, which makes what she did even more fucking impressive, like incredible. So now I get to talk about the astrology side of things. We are going to be switching to that. If you are new to astrology, welcome. I don't explain anything, but I will tell if you're new to astrology, good fucking luck. Honestly, I do explain a lot. And if you're looking at this chart like it's a clock, you would look at the 9 o'clock position, which is where you see the 6-9 symbol, haha, and a 19 degrees right above that. So 19 degrees, and then the little 6-9, the Cancer glyph for the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. And that moon is what rules the chart today. So we have a Cancer rising chart for the first time in a minute. This is because the hours change the rising sign, right? So each season it shifts. Each little time that we have a like night game, it'll be a different time. So we have the rising sign, which always kicks off the energy of the chart, and that's really what you kind of have to pay attention to the most, is that what rules the chart is really going to be the theme. So the moon ruling the chart, and the moon happens to be right there on the ascendant. I'm sure you guys can see the little tiny moon sign. That's the one that most people know. If you show an astrology chart to somebody, you're going to be like, look, you're going to know at least one of these planets' symbols, okay? It's not that hard. It might be hard for some people, but it's not that hard to like find the moon. Like you can see that that's a moon. It's a tiny little crescent moon, which I love because I was born under a crescent moon. And there are I'm a waxing crescent, by the way. There are times that the moon is dominant in a chart. There are times that the moon dictates the score in a chart. This one, the moon's dominant and probably indicating that Kareem Hunt is running for his life this game. I will say number 19 and 29 are going to be huge for today's game. So I don't know if that's the final score, if it's 19 to 29. I don't know if the Chiefs win by 29 points. I don't know if they win by 11 points. I don't know if they win by 7 points. But those are all outcomes using the moon, okay? So that 29 degrees, we can add it together, which gets that 11. We can minus 9 from 2, which gets that -7, so it's just 7. There's so much of that little piece of astrology that you can look at and be like, okay, the moon is going to be impactful on today's game somehow. You just don't know how. In this case, it is the ruler of the chart. So that moon being conjunct Jupiter retrograde in the first house, it's going to be an emotional game. Yay, right? Something new and different for the Chiefs. There are times that the moon will show up when the Sabian symbols, and I think that that's definitely the case for today. The Sabian symbols for 29 degree Cancer is a Greek muse weighing newborn twins in golden scales. Once again, I just muted something, sorry. Most of my stuff and most of my work is like seeing that these symbols are here and like the influence of them are pretty impactful. And like thinking of like how this works, the kind of muses that we're talking about, the Greek muse is part of like the deity of arts and sciences. Artists and science alike would invoke the wisdom and inspiration of the muses before any creative or intellectual work was begun. Maybe we need more muses. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe the muses are needing to come back, and maybe we need to do that, and we can figure out like, okay, there are 9 muses that specialize in different aspects of thoughts and creativity. It's a beautiful degree. And you think of this and you're like, oh my God, that's lovely. These newborn twins, weighing them on the scales. But the golden scales are also about comparison, scales of justice. These can kind of feel like the scales are tipped one in favor of the other. Sometimes these are, I don't know. I guess I would say that this is something that we could see the benefits and the side by side comparisons of like having the exact in something, because usually I'm like, we can't have a replica of like a replica of something is not near as cool as just a one original. But when it comes to twins, like having an exact replica of you is kind of a flex. Like, yeah, I've got a twin. You're not cool enough to have a twin. Like, I always thought that twins were really cool. Turns out I have a Gemini moon, and Gemini rules or is where my 12th house starts. Mercury rules my 12th house. But the idea of twins was always just like, wow, that's kind of cool. And then we see this game's 12th house is also starting in Mercury ruled sign with Gemini. So yeah, there's a lot to be said there. But my initial impression is just like, it's not about perfection. It's about utilizing all the inspiration and the forces around you to overcome whatever it is that is kind of your thread of fate, so to speak. So that is the karmic condition of this rising sign of the game. Then we go into the truth of the degree, or the truth degree. The truth degree is all about where you find the actuality of the condition. So the actuality of today's rising is a daughter of the American Revolution. I was actually going to join the Daughters of the American Revolution group, and then I found out that it was just like a lot of paperwork, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. But I do have ancestors that fought in the American Revolution, as well as like the Daughters of the War of 1812 or some shit. Like, leave it to me to be like, yeah, I should join all these old people that dress up and do things. Like, I don't know what they actually do, but like finding all that and like being a history person to begin with, I'm like, I should do this. But this degree is all about being bound by social conditioning and like being really formal, and maybe we see some playfulness today. We see some muses showing up. Maybe there are more than just one superstar at today's game. I know that the Texans wide receiver guy like got dumped by Alex Earl only because I found that out while reading random pop things on the internet. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe this is, where she comes out and starts dating a Chiefs player and becomes a villain of sorts. Who knows? That'd be fucking crazy if she showed up at this game and was just like, yeah, I'm dating someone else now. But really, the idea of the daughter of the American Revolution is talking about standing up for a situation. Maybe there's something that happens today, or maybe there's something that speaks out today of a certain situation. Who knows? Now that I have a dog, it's so weird watching like how she just kind of roams around, and I'm like, oh, this is what it's like. I don't think dogs really like it when people are yapping nonstop and they can't hear the other side of things. Not that there is a conversation going on. It is literally just me talking. But the solution degree for today is a wild one. It's a man under emotional stress and blood rushes to his head. So this is a real spicy degree. It's the 1 degree of Leo. It's the Aries degree. I can show you guys that. A man under emotional stress and blood rushes to his head. That is all about like being overwhelmed, getting overcome with anger, having burst of anger and some sort of stress that causes you obvious emotional duress. So if there is a situation, or if there's anybody with placements that we will see in this chart It'll be interesting to see if any of them lose their cool today, and that could be our flag. I mean, it's a sports game, okay? I know I'm not just like gonna say things like someone might lose their cool. Like, no shit. It's a Mars ruled activity. People have also said that, by people I mean Kate from Twitter, Astro Castalia, that is like, this is a war chart. A sports chart is a war chart. It is a battle, and it's a really expensive one too. Like, I don't think many people realize just how expensive these games are, just how much money is on the line with these games. So when they're like, "Oh, the refs suck," you don't think the owners are pissed too? These people are absolutely pissed. And there's always the NFL is rigged crowd, whatever. We know that um it can be, but it's often by the mob. Like I talked about in my last stream where I just randomly brought up that I know the 1985 World Series was rigged because I know the guy who did it. So there's that. Um, if anyone is like a filmmaker and wants to make a movie about this, I have the rights to it. So let's fucking go. But like, there's times where it seems like it's rigged. Today's not going to help. Okay. Looking at this chart, we see that not only is the moon conjunct Jupiter retrograde in the first house, that means those are benefics. Yes, I like to see the moon as a satellite, a reflection of what's going on internally, and it bounces off externally and comes back to you kind of energy. But this emotional stressing degree of 29 degrees Cancer, that is an anoretic degree. It is a Leo ruled degree. So when you see it, it is kind of a red flag. And 29 degrees is like this roller coaster burst of information as well. And there's times where that burst is this magical rainbow experience where you're in like Mario Kart land. And there's times where it's like clinging on for dear life on a roller coaster that doesn't seem to ever end or want to. Like, that is the energy of the 29th degree. And I don't always want to say it's like this revolutionary, like you're going to be a rebel without a cause for the rest of your life and everything's going to be da 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 da. No, I think that I have a 29 degree MC, so I understand that energy a lot. And it's a very powerful, very larger than life, very, I'm going to speak my mind and also take the spotlight. And it happens sometimes. It's just whatever. Going to that second house, we do see that ruled by the sun. The sun is in the fifth house in Sagittarius, which does kind of indicate travel team, a travel energy. Sagittarius is home to, or is at home in the ninth house. And that is where I usually look at the away team. So interesting. I also just talked about how much I hate Texas for like, I don't know, at least 5 minutes earlier. So I don't want to be that person, but you know, I am a little bit biased. That's why we're gonna look at the Texans first. It's cool. I take the exact time of the kickoff because that's when I feel like the game is supposed to start. So it usually does right around then. Um, you know, these degrees, it's why I read multiple degrees. It's why I look at multiple degrees when you look at every one, because you do have to look at more of a well-rounded approach to it just to really understand these things. Going in, like I said, that second house ruled by the sun in Sagittarius in that fifth house, going into the third house where second house is more like pace of the game. So if it's ruled by the sun in the fifth house, the refs probably will have pace of the game, but so do the people that are being creative, that are being having fun. The team that has more fun today is going to win, is what I'm trying to say. That, I guess that's where I should have started. The team having more fun today, the team not taking it so seriously, the team that stresses too much about this game will lose. And I do know, just because Kansas City isn't that big, and when you have another person in your life, like my other half works in media, but it's like also esports and also real sports and media for himself, as well as he's on camera. So if you haven't been in a power couple, it's highly recommended. There's times that like he's on camera doing cool stuff, I'm on camera doing cool stuff. We are like on different news stations at different times. That was always like, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool to have. He helps me shoot all of my covers now. I will never hire another photographer as long as he is available. Like, I just can't do it. I worked with one in January, February of last year or this year. Ugh. Well, it's last year, but it was terrible. She was awful and she was so unprofessional. And like, just a quick creative tip to anyone out there. I do have a background in marketing. I'm a marketing and PR genius. Don't fall for the whining about your business as a marketing technique, okay? Whining that you have to like maybe go back to a normie 9 to 5 job is fucking insane. If you are an artist and you're like, I don't want to have to keep saying this, but if no one will support me, I'll have to go back to a normie 9 to 5 job. Bitch, if you don't shut up, like, I saw that post and she still hadn't sent me any of my proofs, still hadn't edited anything. I was 10 days out from my publishing deadline, nothing. And I'm like, if you have time to complain on the internet about not having enough clients or might having to go back to a normie 9 to 5 job, you have enough time to fucking work harder. Like, shut the fuck up and just do it. Like, people who complain, oh my God, it's such a grind. You're addicted to complaining, bro. You're addicted to everything being hard. I'm addicted to everything being easy as fuck. I push a button. I talk about sports. People love me. Cool. I go back to taking off my makeup after my shoot and turn into a couch potato. And it's great because then I live the rest of my week doing whatever I want. And I'm only here for this small pocket of time. So yes, I will be talking about myself. Yes, I'll be talking about what I want. But yeah, never hiring another photographer again. It's just such a privilege to be an artist in this day and age. And I don't want to take that for granted. So I hope no one else does. And work with people who are actually inspired. Don't work with people who are just doing it for the money. You can always tell. That's all. So that third house about communication, ruled by Mercury. Mercury's in the 5th house, all about creativity. So everything is literally about having fun. And that's why I'm like, you need to have more fun. You need to play like this is a childhood game, whatever. But it's because we know how angry they've been. And my other half works with a lot of these guys. And it's funny because it's like they are just as frustrated as the fans. Like if the fans are frustrated with the Chiefs, imagine playing with the team and being like, yo, we can see what needs to happen. It's just not happening. It's hard. We got a lot of injuries and there's a lot of stuff happening. So this game has to feel like playing in the backyard, enjoying a game of football, hanging out with your friends and throwing the ball around. That's what it needs to feel like for the Chiefs. They definitely need that type of reset if they're going to have a chance in this game. But yeah, you know, it's crazy how you can learn so much information just by understanding how athletes operate, by being an athlete yourself. My last athletic days were in high school where I was a lacrosse player and then I turned into a professional party animal. So there's that. But I really love working out. It's like one of my huge releases around when I was in sports media. I would just go to the gym for like 3 hours and be like, okay, I'm just going to work out everything here. All these stupid people saying things to me, I'm going to take out in the gym. That was kind of how I was growing up in high school too. So a lot of fun there. But now I'm just lucky enough to be with a former pro wrestler as well as a current boss. So it's pretty nice. And I get to know things without having to leave my house. Hell yeah. Once again, Cancer rising. I don't want to go out. I love my home. I love me some home. So today, being a Cancer ruled chart, once again, I do kind of feel like this is like, okay, welcome home. Let's get it the fuck together. Let's lock it the fuck in. Because that's the vibe. Jupiter retrograde on the ascendant. Today's points, there's going to be things called back. There's going to be things that were like, how did that end up in a score? That'll be ruled by the moon. So whatever the fucking moon wants to do, it'll be mooning. That's what'll be happening. And, you know, the energy of the game, highly emotional, highly emotional. The moon is also trine Mercury. Mercury is direct and station direct. Has been, thankfully, since right after Thanksgiving. Oh, sorry if you had a rough Thanksgiving. I had a great one because I just, once again, stayed within my little bubble with my family at home, and it was great. Going to that fourth house, we have that fourth house ruled by Venus. Venus is in Sagittarius today at 9 degrees, which is also a Sagittarius degree. So there's a lot of Sag energy today that is going the F off, right? So if you've been wondering what sign to watch for, Sagittarius and Cancer are the two biggest ones. Cancer also meaning that Chris Jones and Butker could have a pretty solid game today. Sagittarius, like energy in general, I see that so much as Travis Kelce with the Sagittarius moon, Kareem Hunt, of course, and then there's like countless other little Sagittarius placements throughout. So I have all the charts, don't you worry. And then let's go ahead and see that fifth house ruled by Mars. Mars is in the late degrees of Sagittarius, so super insecure, right? This fifth house is, you know, really messy. Yay, belly jellies. Hi. I was about to say Cancer rising chart with that moon and Jupiter together in the first seems to favor home team. Hopefully. Yeah. I'm like, I hope that everyone's cheering for the Chiefs. Like, Texas sucks. It just does. Just don't go there. I'm like the anti-Texas tourism board today. Oh man. Everywhere sucks but Kansas City. It's fine. No, that's not the case. There's so many beautiful places in this world. There is a large chance with this Mars being in the sixth house, leg injuries are a problem today, okay? That does kind of seem more like the away team's problem to deal with and not ours. We will see that though trine the Chiefs Mars exactly, so who knows what's going to happen. A lot of stuff going on in that fifth house, so I definitely think that that'll be interesting to see how that comes out. Maybe it's a come to Jesus moment with these refs. Maybe it's a spiritual moment where they can be like, we have fucked up so much over the last few weeks. Let's just give everyone a great game. That's what I'm hoping for. But we know what this kind of indicates. It's a pile up. And it starts with Mars. And Mars is in the sixth house. So could be a lot of injury timeouts. Could be a lot of things flipping and flopping over due to just, I mean, a lot of running, a lot of legs, a lot of legs with Venus, Sun, Juno, and Mars, Vertex, and part of Fortune all in Sagittarius. That is a lot of running. So Chiefs got to run the fucking ball. Mahomes got to run the fucking ball. I guess CJ Stroud will have to run it. Texans will have to run it. But we'll see who's better at running. That today's game will be a track meet, essentially. Going into that sixth house, like I said, ruled by Jupiter, that Jupiter retrograde is conjunct the rising, and Jupiter retrograde is a little bit wonky. It could just be old injuries flaring up as well. Going into the seventh house, ruled by Saturn, I think that is more of an indicator of time management against your opponent is going to be key to today's game. More so than usual, more so than usual. Saturn ruling over any house is like, oh God. Eighth house, lessons being learned in gambling for sure. Where things get a little bit tricky is the ninth house for today's game. We got the North Node, Saturn direct, and the Neptune retrograde all there in that ninth house. So things could be showing signs of weakness, showing signs of obsession. I don't know if any of the Texans players have been tweeting sideways at the Chiefs. I think people have learned by now to stop doing that, but you never know. There are like the 13th degree of Pisces is where I used to think my old MC is or was. Turns out it's not, but I believe without looking that it's the sword heavily used in battle, now in a museum degree. Ha! A sword used in many battles is now in a museum. And I just had to compete with myself because this is what I've been doing in my free time. Learning every degree and Sabian symbol of the zodiac with flashcards, just like Elsie Wheeler did in the beginning when she channeled them. If you are feeling moody today, good God, please allow yourself to be. North Node being at this degree is like learning how to put a sword down, right? I used to think, like I said, my MC was at this degree, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm such a powerful force, I have to learn when to use my words for good and blah, blah, blah. No, I was wrong, but I'm okay with admitting that because I learned, and my MC is actually at my favorite degree of the zodiac now, so I'm okay with it. But this 13th degree of Pisces is all about knowing when to stop fighting and knowing when to put your sword down. So maybe this will be an interesting energy coming through. Like I said, I don't pay attention to the headlines. I don't pay attention to narratives. I do pay attention to like random things when I see like pop culture moments, like this dude getting dumped, or when the Chiefs do something stupid and people get mad about it. I do find out about that usually, just because, like I said, my other half being so involved with the world of sports and a YouTube star himself, I know when things happen just because of him. He watches more game tape than I think than most NFL coaches. It's insane. Uh, and I don't really know what's been happening in the Texans world. I just know that with a moon at the anaretic degree of Cancer, Mercury trining that moon, and Saturn and Neptune trining that as well, forming a grand water trine with the North Node in there, there's going to be some obsessive past shit. Like, if you are going through the depths and you are trudging through your emotions right now, it's okay. We have so much water sign energy mixed with fire. It's like dampening. It's like the earth being scorched, and it's like right after you throw the water on it, that sizzle that's happening off the ground. And if you haven't burned a prairie before, then you clearly are not from Kansas. I'm not from Kansas, which is really annoying. I was just raised here. I was born in Missouri, which really irritates me, honestly, and raised in Kansas. But Missouri has all the fun things like nightclubs that stay open and alcohol 24 hours a day, and maybe not 24 hours a day, but a lot later than Kansas does, and sports betting and marijuana. So clearly I'm a fan. I've got a medical card, so that's all that matters. Um, managing your anxiety with a plant is pretty lit. I'm pretty okay with not taking Xanax. Like, I'm okay with that. But yeah, it's like this earth energy that's like sizzling, just got all the fire knocked out of it, and it's like this like scorched earth feeling. Um, if you only have one water sign in your chart, jellies, oh my gosh, this probably feels like personal hell. This feels like a flood that won't go away for most people that don't have a lot of water in their chart. So my apologies. I happen to love every season of the year, but especially when it's almost winter solstice and it's the countdown to Christmas. And it's like, I think it's because I am a water rising and have a Pisces stellium and have a Scorpio Pluto, and it's kind of like something that I've just always felt. I cry at least twice a day, but it's over the most random shit. You'll never know what it's going to be about next, but it happens all the time. I think that's a sign of emotional intelligence too. But, it can be a lot for people that do not have that water energy. I'm like, I'm just flowing with it. This is my life now. Having a Virgo South node makes me neurotic. So that's why weed comes in super handy to mitigate that. And the plant grounding me a lot. I have one thing I will say about cannabis is if you do use cannabis, please, please, please get it from a great source. I work with Greenlight Dispensary mostly. Elevate is a great brand here in Kansas City area that I absolutely love. I know it's great weed made by great people who are well taken care of. And same with Greenlight. You have to get your plants, your medicines, your foods from ethical sources. And if you don't, you're also assuming a little bit of the responsibility of like, okay, cool, this is what I am getting when I sign up for this. If I get regular beef from the supermarket, I know that this might not be the best source, but if I get Angus Reserve Prime from the cow that they've raised since whatever, I'm like, okay, I feel better about this. But life is a game of, checks and balances, and you just have to find what fits your value system, your belief system, all of that. So getting back to the sports astrology side of things, we do have a Mars ruled MC. I want to say something that's a little bit weird for a football chart, but this degree of Aries is my sun degree. And I know this degree so well. It is a comedian entertaining a group of friends in the Sabian Symbols, and it's a comedy degree. There's going to be some funny moments today. I don't know if it's Jameis Winston funny, but it's going to be pretty funny. So I'm kind of here to see what happens with today's game. I do think highly emotional. I do think that someone's going to lose their cool, and whoever does lose their cool loses the game. So the person who has more fun and the person who doesn't lose their cool is going to win today. Yay. It's going to be freezing out too. So if you want to talk about losing cool, there will be plenty of time to do that. And if you get hot-headed, good news, you can just take off your helmet. It'll be quite chilly today. Not that I normally ever talk about the weather, but I can tell you it is like right around freezing, but tonight it'll be 29 degrees out. Just another reason 29 will be big. So if you are tired of listening to me yap about this, I really don't care. I am going to get to my numbers to watch for, signs to watch for, Sagittarius and Cancer already. 29 is going to be huge today, so Kareem Hunt. If you want to do sports betting or prop bets, go ahead and do it. I've had some real troll-like astrologers try to be like, you're evil because you condone sports betting. And I'm like, okay, like, am I evil for driving a car too? Am I evil for, like, just grow up already? Everyone's going to have their vice. Everyone's going to have their way that they do things. Everyone's going to have things that other people wouldn't do. Like, some people eat Lunchables every day and they're grown-ass adults. And they're like, this is what feeds my body. And why are you going to argue with that? You're just like, okay, cool. I'm happy for you. Would you do that for your body? Probably not. Okay, so if these people want to say shit and call me evil because I help people make money through sports betting with the cosmos, all right, cool. That's your opinion. Housewives, that's your opinion. Shout out Tamara Judge and Shannon Bedore. It's just kind of lame. Like, there's so many other things that we could argue about. And I'm like, oh, okay, astrology and using that for sports betting is evil. I'm evil, everyone. Ceres conjunct the Aries MC. I will say that is all about nurturing your headspace. That is the cameo of a country, like showing up in or profile of a man, suggesting the outline of one's country degree in the Sabian Symbols. And it's all about like loving where you came from. Maybe there's a story today where someone's telling about where they came from in their childhood or something that's featured before the game. Who fucking knows? But that 10th house Chiron retrograde in Aries at 22 degrees, that is also known as the kill or be killed degree in astrology. It's not the bloodbath that you think sometimes. With Aries, the kill or be killed degree, I think, is a mental thing. With Taurus, it is a vocal thing. With Gemini, it's a more of a neural connection or even a mindset. With Cancer, the kill or be killed degree is how you smother or nurture others. It's also caretaking, kill or be killed. With Leo, it's kill or be killed of the heart. With Virgo, it's kill or be killed of the gut and the physical body. So there's maybe really great surgeons with 22 degree Virgo placements. With Libra, kill or be killed is very much maybe a fairness or justice thing, maybe a really great lawyer or an esthetician. With Scorpio, kill or be killed can have womb issues, or you could have just wounds around the root chakra. A lot of the times, as Scorpio does rule over the bowels area, so that is something that can be part of that. But also, just if you think about the psychology of the bowel stuff, if you go with the Freudian part of it, and it's all about control and a child expressing their control with their bathroom stuff. So sometimes it can even be as simple as potty training issues. The 22 degree of Scorpio. 22 degree Sagittarius is a global degree. It can be a global phenomenon. It can be a global villain. It could be a global hated person. We see the 22 degree here at Juno in Sagittarius. So a lot of people getting in relationships with foreign cultures, maybe falling in love with a place, maybe falling in love with a person foreign, or marrying foreign. Having 9th house placements in general can mean that you might marry somebody from outside your culture, which is kind of cool. The 22 degree of Capricorn, 22 is a Capricorn ruled degree, so that is more of a cutthroat in business, or even in your bones. You can just feel that you're a little bit more of a cutthroat person. 22 degrees in Aquarius is being more of a cutthroat, emotionally detached type of cutthroat. That degree is a children playing with a rug pulled out from under them, or playing on a rug. So it can be like the degree of having the rug pulled out from under you and you feel it in your circulatory system. And then the 22 degree of Pisces is Whew. Cutthroat like religion stuff. Like if people have degrees around 20 or placements around 22 degrees of Pisces, you could have like a real big religious rebellion streak in you, or you could even feel that getting into like um, being a religious figure of some sort. Like the degree symbol is a prophet coming down from the mountain, and I'm like, but that's very much a mysticism kill or be killed. So it can be like in the mysticism space. So 22 degrees are not all scary, but they do have connotations of intense purpose, and you have a higher purpose and a more, I'd say, cutthroat type of purpose, but it's not always the way that you think it is. So when people are like insulting degree theory or insulting Sabian symbols, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just because you don't know any better, and that's fine. But that 22-degree Aries Chiron is going to be very visible today. It could just be mental frustrations. The retrograde part of Chiron is there, 22 degrees. That's actually the music of the spheres degree. So interesting that it's the kill or be killed for Aries. And Aries and music are so intrinsic. Like music and smoking can help Aries so much, but it's like smoking the right things and not just smoking nicotine or cigarettes to where you're just like fuming and causing like a huge spiral happening. It's fine. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but there are some things that you can tell that certain placements need more than others. The 11th house Uranus retrograde in Taurus, I think, maybe the vocalization of frustration or sudden outbursts could easily be something that happens with that in the 11th house of more like teams and stuff. So 12th house is empty. Thank God. I think we have enough with everybody else. So, for timing purposes, I would like to just look at the Chiefs game individually, run through that on the outside. We're not going to go as in depth as we will for the tri wheel of the game. My dog is asleep right behind me, so I'm glad she finally settled down. She was just like wandering around, and I'm like, I'm sorry I'm talking. I'm sorry there's people leaving. Sundays probably seem like a really stressful day for no reason. So, going into this Chiefs game, they have their North Node conjunct the rising of tonight's game. Very, very poignant for them having their Mars in the second house, possibly helping with pace of game is going to be there. Pluto loosely conjunct that, not loosely, 4-degree orb, that's not loosely, that is conjunct the South Node there in Virgo, as well as their Juno, Ceres, and Vesta conjunction all there in Virgo. So very much physical body and anxiousness and the neuroticness of the past is something that they are revisiting and freeing themselves from. Like they are familiar, like the Chiefs are familiar with this energy. The Chiefs of my childhood are not the Chiefs of current standing, okay? Chiefs of my childhood had like these appearances where a Chiefs player would be smoking a pack of cigarettes and signing autographs at the same time and be like, "Hey kid, you want a picture?" And I'm like, "No." Ugh. And I would just run away, but my dad wanted to go to all the sports radio things, so that's like the energy. I also found out that when Tony Gonzalez came here to Kansas City, um, he like experienced the poverty mentality that the Chiefs had. They would only have like little tiny ham sandwiches from Hy-Vee out on like a folding card table, and that would be like the players' nourishment for the day ahead, even though they had like practice and they were grown ass men, not reporters. So like they had a real lacking mentality not that long ago, and it was right around when the nodes were back in Pisces, North Node, and then South Node being in Virgo. And that was around 2005, 2006. So they are no stranger to this, okay? The Chiefs before Brett Veach were pretty spotty. Brett Veach and Andy Reid and all of them all turned this team around. So we are getting blessed with bougie football and winning football and championship type football. Honestly, Patrick Mahomes has ruined watching most football games, even though I was very invested in the K-State game just to see what would happen before, all the other magic happened. I was watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't Mahomes. Got it. But I got through it. I think it's going to be great for me to watch more types of football, follow along with the team outside of the Chiefs so I can learn more because my Chiefs bias is strong. I hope the K-State team does so well that they outperform everybody and turns into the Chiefs of college football. That'd be great. Seeing that the Chiefs nor the game today have any placements in the fourth house, we can skip right over to the fifth house where we see Mercury and Lilith not really matching up for the Chiefs. Neptune and Mercury still about 12 degrees, so there's a lot going on there. God, Mariah, you've been watching on both platforms. That's incredible. You're amazing. See, she's in two places at once, and you think she's not a witch? Psh. To any of the naysayers, I know better. Like, come on. I'm so here for just the well-roundedness of me kind of becoming more just well-versed in other things than Chiefs football. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I can do a Saturday and Sunday show. I have youth football on Saturdays here, so maybe it'll just do like written predictions for now. The fun part of the fifth house is that the Chiefs just have Neptune there with Mercury and Lilith for today's game, as well as it is the Lilith return for the Chiefs. So that's exciting. Venus and the Sun and Vertex and Part of Fortune all there don't really match up with anything for the Chiefs. They do have their Gemini Sun opposite that Vertex and Part of Fortune today, and Venus as well. And also the Sun. So it is a little bit different, but it's like 16 degrees opposite. So, it depends on how you feel about orbs. Going into that sixth house, Chiefs not having anything in there yet. They do have their Mars in Leo trine today's Mars in Sagittarius. So you guys can kind of see how that's going to be a little bit of a nice boost for the Chiefs. And then with that South Node for the Chiefs over in the seventh house and hugging the ascendant and descendant line, that horizon line, it's like I do feel like they understand this game. They've been here before. They're comfortable with this team. Texans are a familiar team. We won our first playoff game in like 30 something years against the Texans back in 2016. So that was pretty lit. So it'd be nice if we could continue with our need to win game situations and beat them today. The Saturn in the 8th house might not be great for odds makers today. It's that kill or be killed degree where their Chiefs Saturn has shown up and been very loud against other opponents as well as against themselves. They do feel sometimes like they are the only ones beating themselves, which can be a really frustrating feeling. The nodes are off that 14 degrees exact conjunction with Chiron, so I don't think today will be so centric on Harrison Butker, but I do think that there's still a pretty prominent type of energy. That 13 degree is also a feminine number, so there could be a prominent traveling female, like I said. The muses of sorts being that rising degree karmic energy, who knows. I will definitely be tuning in for all of the game and will report back in my notes what happened and with whom. Saturn, Neptune for the game, hugging that MC. The Chiefs have their Jupiter conjunct the MC, which is like, please, for the love of God, do something. Then that Venus over there as well in the 10th house does kind of feel like some sort of vocalization. So maybe the Chiefs get hyped up and get angry, but they don't lose it. They just have fun with it, which that MC at that 2 degrees, the comedy degree of Aries, is all about. The solution degree to that 2 degrees is two lovers secluded strolling on a walk, or strolling through the woods or something. All of those words are in there, but maybe not in that order. 2 lovers strolling through the woods on a walk. That's probably what it is. But that it being the solution degree to today's game, laugh a lot and go for walks. Maybe you'll see people walking it off on the sidelines. Who knows? Going into the 11th house, where I kind of like to see the team and the team mentality and focus, we do see the Mercury retrograde for the Chiefs, as well as their exalted moon, and then their sun in Gemini. This is going to be a fun time. I think this rebuilds their trust in themselves. It's kind of like maybe takes it down to the basics. You know, sometimes Uranus retrograde conjunct Mercury and the moon can be like, let's revisit the things that happened before. Let's reframe them. You know, Taurus placements are stubborn. I got to have my own experience with my 8th house Taurus stellium, 6 Taurus placement stellium in the 8th house with my daughter yesterday, and it made me laugh so hard. And I was only laughing because it was so stubborn and so rigid and so Taurian of her. It's like, oh my gosh. So definitely have experienced this a lot lately, but it's in a fun, positive way. I think it's funny when people are stubborn because I'm like, you don't see how easy it can be if you just like change your mind. That's it. That's all. Like sometimes that's all someone has to do, and they don't realize how easy that is because they're so stuck and like they can't see the other side because they're like, if I change my mind, then everything that I stand for is wrong. It's like, no, you can change your mind, bro. It's okay. Going into the opponent's chart, that's where we are going to see that their placements in front, we do have their Pallas Athena 24 degrees, exact Jupiter retrograde today. So maybe they are learning things, or like their information today is helping them achieve success against the odds. That's very much what that could represent. Belly Jelly's mentioned the Chiefs' benefics in the 10th house seems promising, and I think the fire trines their Mars will receive this month will be pretty good for the team. I agree. And I'm hopeful, mostly because I'm a Chiefs fan and I don't try to hide it. I think, yeah, there's a helmet right behind me. I could get it, but I don't want to wake up my precious baby dog. She's sleeping so peacefully. She's probably like, what is mom doing? But who cares? Um, this chart is really interesting. That 11 degree of their north node in the 2nd house, that's an Aquarian degree. Then they also have their Venus at the mermaid waiting on the rocky shores for her prince to bring her immortality. There we go. It's a very much like a waiting around for someone to save them degree. This is also the degree of Trump's rising. It makes me laugh that it's like a beautiful mermaid waiting for a white knight to come along and save them from the rocky shores and grant them immortality. It's like, who told you that was your life plan? But I love the dedication to it. The moon in Virgo conjunct that south node, that's super uncomfortable. Like if the Texans are like really going through it lately, I don't know, because I haven't watched them and I don't pay attention to football outside of the Chiefs, but it could be. And since it is a noon chart that I use for the teams, these are the like midpoint charts of the day that the teams were announced. So while they might have been announced in the morning, whatever, I just use a midpoint so all the teams in the NFL are fair. With college, what's been really cool is that I can find these teams from like the 1800s, and people back then recorded the time of when these games were going on. And I'm like, I can find more accurate results for the 1800s than I can when the Chiefs were created or announced formally as a team. Like, was there a press conference? Was it just in the paper the next day? When were the papers signed? Like, Canton, Ohio for the NFL formation has the exact time because it was a meeting. It was like at 6:10 p.m. in Canton, Ohio on September 17th, whatever year. So, come on. Until we have a better system, this is the one I use, which I kind of like it because it does represent the ownership quite a bit. Okay, so going back into the Texans chart, like I said, that Virgo moon probably getting hit by the South Node quite a bit, emotional. Virgo moons are supposed to feel cozy within themselves. They're supposed to create cozy, make that cozy, warm bowl of soup vibes. That's what I always think of when I think of Virgo moons. But the downside of Virgo moons is that they can live in their head, that tension can manifest into their body, And if you're ruled by a Virgo moon, it can be very much like questioning everything you do, making a list, being analytical, and not really learning to feel that like all encompassing joy until much later in life. And so that can be a big struggle with Virgo moons. The only reason I know that is because I have a Gemini moon, also a moon ruled by Mercury, and it can be very analytical instead of, in the moment emotional. Um, Good. I'm glad that somebody else knows. Belly Jelly says, I think I have heard the Texans are having a rough season. Cool. Like, because it tracks. Like, if they weren't having a rough time right now, then I don't think this chart would be the right one. The Chiefs also don't have the best transits going on, okay? So it's like there's a lot happening that I can think that we're learning from because you don't really have an option with the NFL. You just have to keep going. No matter if your team sucks, like Cleveland, I guess they don't suck right. I don't know what's happening, but like Cleveland's always sucked, and that's like how I know Cleveland. So the fact that it's now like, oh, if that mold is broken, then I think that it like would mess something with my head and be like, wait, okay, I'd really have to relearn things. But that's probably how people felt about the Chiefs. So, um, but with the Texans, they have their sun in the fourth house as well as Mercury in the fourth house. The game doesn't have anything in the fourth house. The fourth house is ruled by Sagittarius Venus. So Venus in Sagittarius at that 9 degree, which is also a Sagittarius ruled degree. It can be a little bit frustrating to have Jupiter ruled placements and being in an athletic competition or having like a one-on-one competition. Because like Jupiter ruled placements are meant to just do their thing, be as grand as they want to be, and be as big as they need to be. And that's kind of hard when you're in a team setting. So maybe this energy is for the Texans with that Pluto right there. They're learning how to like fit in all of that. Like Venus and Pluto gives off a lot of jealous vibes, right? I have Venus opposite Pluto in my chart, and I had to go through a lot of jealousy as a child growing up. And like, even with my parents spending time with other people, I'm like, are you effing kidding me right now? Like, hello, I'm here. Why would you ever want to hang out with anyone else? But that Pluto conjunct Venus today for the Texans, as well as that Juno, Pluto, Lilith, and Chiron conjunction for the Texans with their Mars at 22 degrees Sagittarius. I don't think they're any stranger to aggression, bountiful aggression, large amounts of aggression. It seems to be like fire really fuels them. So big personalities, big energy, big, big, big. And that's kind of been the thing. JJ Watt's been down there. Jadeveon Clowney's been down there. The Texans have always had a big, larger than life kind of personality. So seeing all those Sagittarius placements, I love it. Especially that Juno, Pluto, Lilith conjunction. Oh man. Spicy women. I feel like that is what that can give off if that is like from if you're looking at that, like if Venus was transiting your Pluto, Lilith, and Juno, a spicy partner or worldly person that comes in and it shows you a different culture or introduces you to something new or something that you've never heard of or tried before. Very much Sagittarius energy with all those feminine asteroids. So I love it. With that Mars in the sixth house, though, that Mars return and um, all of that being, opposite the Mercury, at least today, being opposite Uranus, I do feel like that kicks off that fifth house, that back and forth, that Uranus retrograde, Mercury's in post shadow. It's like, okay, get me out of this funk. I think until today or tomorrow, I can't remember, or maybe it's later than that. I don't know, a secret scarier thing. But that being in the fifth house and that Mars 24 degrees Sagittarius in the sixth house ruling over the fifth house, it's going to be a wild game today, and I think it's going to be full of fiery energy for a lot of reasons. So we're going to see a lot today. Neptune for the Texans is actually being visited by Pluto quite a bit, so maybe their outlooks on life, their spiritual journeys are being transformed. Who knows? They also have the South Node and Uranus both there in Aquarius as well, and that is being visited by Pallas Athena. And Pallas Athena is all about that insight, that divine knowing, and Uranus in the South Node conjunction. That is a wild aspect to have. Having Uranus conjunct your South Node is a lot about electric charges from the past, maybe flashes of past memories or past greatness or past energies that you're either trying to escape, or who knows, maybe it's like past life completely, like a totally different lifetime. I don't think that the Texans are having collective flashbacks, but I do think that the radical freedom that the Texans like to embody, and the fact that Texans are loud, proud, big, and bold, this definitely fits with Uranus and South Node conjunction, and having Neptune retrograde as well as Uranus in Aquarius and having all those visited by Pluto. I think the Texans are only going to get stronger and better with age, having all those Aquarius placements. And they're a relatively young team compared to the Chiefs that were started in the 60s, and then a lot of the teams that were started in the 30s and then the 50s. They are definitely a young team. So better with age is a good thing, Texans. Then we have going into that ninth house, nothing there for the Texans, but they do have that moon in the third house and Ceres as well, opposing all that Pisces energy. So definitely going to be interesting as always when we see that ninth house. I like to see it as a travel team. Not everyone does. That being ruled by Jupiter being retrograde in the first house, conjunct the moon today. Like I said, highly emotional no matter what. And that emotional Jupiter being the ruler of the away team maybe kind of gives me the indication that the Texans are going to be highly emotional today and maybe lose it. Especially with that Jupiter retrograde in the 10th house. That definitely is a sign too, as Taurus rules over the throat. My Venus in Taurus is probably like, drink more water, as your throat seems to be quite dry. But I'm like, no, I'm just going to keep talking. I'm drinking water, clearly, you can tell. I'm going to have some tea after this, that's for sure. And not that kind of tea, although I have plenty of tea as well. That'll be published in the next episode of The Northern, so don't worry. Having Saturn retrograde as well as Jupiter retrograde both in Taurus does kind of indicate the vocalization, or maybe the energy around vocalizing maybe more, or like there might be just some like inability to do so freely right now. Their Jupiter and Saturn do happen to square those Aquarius placements, so their freedom of vocalization, that is a big theme between Taurus and Aquarius, is the freedom of vocalization and feeling like you are free to say what's on your mind and able to do so correctly and express yourself, you know? That's not easy in this day and age. A lot of people think they have to be boring, robotic, corporate people that talk about synergy and circling back to shit. And I'm like, artists keep the world going. I fought being an artist for a very long time, and I'm so glad that I finally got here. I'm an artist, and that's awesome. I'm also an astrologer. All right, let's look at this tri-wheel game. We have been yapping quite a bit. I'm going to be hitting the 2-hour mark now, which works for me. I'm having a great time. Let's get these numbers to watch for. First pass, I'm just going to be writing them down and in no particular order. Okay, so far, I did write them down in order. 5, 7, 9, 16, 19, all going to be the first part, and then we'll keep going through this together. Let's see here. 22, I'm going to go ahead and go with 29. Obviously, the moon being at 29 degrees, that being the chart ruler, very, very important for today's game. And you know, the Texans technically have their vertex, if we're doing this noon chart and actually honoring it as the actual chart, they have their vertex at that degree of a man getting his head, or a man being so all over the place that his head is rushed and he feels overwhelmed, and it's all about that overwhelming stress degree. A man is under emotional stress and blood rushes to his head. That's the degree. That's more eloquent. Thanks, Gracey. And so that's interesting to see that is where their vertex shows up. Let's see what else is for today. Like I said, that 22 is going to be big. 24, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say 24 in there too. So when I rewrite this, it'll be good. So 2, 5, 7, 9, 16, 19, 22, 24, 29. And these are the numbers that I'm just like seeing from the chart directly, okay? I also have the other players' charts. Like I have CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes is pulled up, and I will have the Kelsey, Clyde, Carson, Noah, and Rashid charts as well. So yeah. Maybe we throw in 26. Yeah. Instead of doing 2, I'm going to do 26. Because that's 24 plus 2, and I like that. Then Mars plus the 2, which is the MC, and that's Clyde's number. So gonna go ahead and throw that one in there. Let's go with 39. We'll put Carson Steele in there as 42. Like I said, I don't know the Texans numbers, so if these hit for them too, then even better. I'm going to do another 54, 68, 77, and then 95. We have a lot of fucking numbers today. That's cool because the more the better. I didn't pick one from the 80s, so I'm going to pick Noah Gray. So we'll do 83 and then 95. Signs to watch for: Sag, Cancer. Whew, okay. Sagittarius, Cancer. Sagittarius just because it's got a pile up in both the Texans and the game chart today. And also, Pisces. Say Taurus. And one more. Maybe I'll just go with Libra, you know. I'm just going to do 5 signs today, so here they all are, 5, 7, 9s in my amazing handwriting. I think I'm posing for like a 60s ad or an Orbigum one. No, I smoked too much weed to be in an Orbigum commercial for now. Who knows? All right, so we got all those to look for. I do think that the Chiefs will be winning today by like a touchdown. Okay, so Chiefs by 7. Mostly because I love that 29-degree moon and that 9 minus 2, the MC being that 2. I'm going to go ahead and take that 2 from that 29 and do the 9 minus 2, and that gets 7. And a lot of signs pointing to the Chiefs, and I'm not the only one thinking that for once. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been really hopeful, okay? Like, I'm a huge Chiefs fan. That's what I care about. Like I said, the most out of all the sports teams. So Chiefs football means more to me than any other football team. So yeah, when I start talking about other teams, I'm just like, I get bored, but this one has my heart. So I'm always going to like go above and beyond for it. So you're welcome. All right. This is CJ Stroud's chart. We do see that it is a noon chart. He is born 2001. His Juno in Leo there, right in the first house. That's pretty much just, okay, cool. He might be married to this game a little bit today or feeling that energy. Right now, I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on in CJ Stroud's life. Like, I've never once thought to myself to look up his Instagram or love life or anything along those lines. But I will say having his south node or having the south node visiting your Venus while Saturn and Neptune are opposing probably doesn't feel great. Probably going on a little bit of a spiritual journey himself right now. So his Libra sun does show up in that fourth house with his Libra Mercury retrograde squaring today's moon. So I think that could be a little bit why he shows up wonky today as well. His sun is, or not his sun, his Pluto and the sun conjunction today could feel a little bit interesting having his sun or having his Pluto and Pallas Athena conjunct the Sun, Venus, part of fortune, and vertex of today's game on Sagittarius can be pretty entertaining. And I feel like that can give a boost of creativity as well as transformative lessons. Like if he hasn't studied enough or if he hasn't done enough of the mental work. Having his Chiron there with Mars today, as well as his South Node, I do feel like this is kind of feeling icky physically. Maybe not the best time for him, or we see the complete opposite. He's like, I feel it in my bones. It's about to be Mars conjunct my South Node. I'm going to turn into a juggernaut of a human. But, you know, Mars is right now in the later degrees of Sagittarius, which are very insecure. A lot of these themes of the late degrees of Sagittarius are involving like chubby or fat children, and they're usually rich and having to do things or just being rich and fat. It's very strange degrees of the Sabian symbols. And it's also about people being just like kind of disrespectful. So if you have late degree Sagittarius placements, you could feel as though there is possible disrespect that people give to you. Oh, there's Coco making an appearance. Coco, come here. Come here. There she is. There she's making her first appearance. Aw, it's my dog. She means well, and she definitely wants to be near me at all times. So maybe this whole mom, you've been on the stream for 2 hours now, shut up and pay attention to me is kicking in. But I definitely love it. We do see that CJ Stroud has his Mars in Capricorn, and that is an exalted Mars. And I can think that that could be a bit of a boost. Not yet, but it will be in the next couple weeks. So I'm okay with seeing him before his Mars return starts because after I feel like it could be quite the journey to compete against him. He's probably going to have some better days ahead with that Mars return, or that could be a revisit of things like old injuries or something like that that he needs to take care of. So just be careful, CJ Stroud. You got a very powerful Mars return coming up. Then we see over in the seventh house of today's game, Neptune retrograde for CJ. Loosely, not loosely, it's once again 4 degrees. It's conjunct Pluto. And with that conjunction, we are seeing maybe some spiritual disillusionment. And that can be a theme for a lot of the Gen Z generation right now. There's a lot of things that they're like, oh, maybe this wasn't for our best interest happening. So revelations of sorts and more liberations and freedoms coming to the surface, always good things. Having Uranus and Aquarius there in the eighth house of today's game, not really something that I would put like money on energy there. Going in the ninth house, the only thing we have for CJ Stroud there is his Lilith and North Node synastry happening with that transit North Node hitting his Lilith, and that can be a rather also conflicting feeling when it comes to areas of romance. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but I feel like there's something going on, like relationship wise. Maybe positive, maybe negative, who knows? His moon being conjunct Chiron today and Chiron retrograde. His moon is not going to be an exact thing. It could be 6 degrees before, 6 degrees after. So it could even be a early degree Taurus moon. Either way, it is in the 10th house, so that's not really the problem. He has that Aries moon or possibly really early degree Taurus moon, but it's in the 10th house. So 10th house moon, his emotions will be on display. Saturn and Vesta in the 11th house, he does have to strive to keep the discipline mentally alive in his head, to keep this game going. And then we have his North Node, as well as his Jupiter in that 12th house. So we will see how this Jupiter return for CJ Stroud goes and how it shows up today against the Chiefs and what that looks like, especially being in that 12th house. So either way, guess what? I will be learning. So very exciting to see that. Going into Patrick's chart today. Yeah, he's got a 12th house moon today. So no avoiding that. His moon is in Cancer, so that in early degrees of Cancer, so that'll be right there in the 12th house. So emotionally, he might be right there with CJ. Like, okay, I am feeling the wear and tear. I'd rather be at home. If I could play this game in private, I would, but luckily Mahomes is going to step up and step out today. A lot of the Virgo energy in that third house, of his right around his palace and also Vesta in that south node hell. So when I was like, yeah, the south node separating from his sun, I'm like, Gracey, look at the rest of his chart. Sun and Mars are not the only thing to look for in an athlete's chart. I'm learning the asteroid impact in sports astrology thanks to Empress Atlantis. That has been encouraging me to dive more into the asteroids as she was reading I have Jupiter on my Vesta right now in my first house, and so that's very much a devoted type of energy to my astrological practice and the moon really in general, having that Vesta in Cancer. So having your Vesta in Virgo would be like a devotional practice of eating and nourishing your body and resting your body and just like the overall physical health and well-being of yourself. I've been like, we're like, woohoo, South Node separating from his sun. And then it's like, yeah, it's also hitting everything else. So Vesta and Pallas Athena are not easy asteroids to be hit with a South Node transit. It could be revisiting past, mental frustrations as well as keeping the fire alive inside. Could be really hard right now. Could feel like a very taxing and draining type of energy for Mahomes. In that fourth house for Mahomes, though, we do see his Ceres, his Mercury, North Node, and Mars. I feel like he's going to show up and show out as he has to today. And it's kind of one of those things where you either perform well or everyone stops believing in you and kind of writes you out. And you become irrelevant for the first time in postseason since he started as a quarterback. So it's very wild to think about that outcome. Venus is visiting his Jupiter as well as the Sun and Jupiter conjunction. So I think that things are getting better for Mahomes. We're just going to have to let it happen. The refs today, like I said, are going to be big make or break. It does look like they could be favoring Mahomes a little bit today. So that's good news for Chiefs fans. Not great news for Chiefs fans who are tired of defending the refs and saying, look, we also know that it's driving everyone crazy. So just win fairly, Chiefs. It's like, we got to win at whatever cost today. So I'm sorry, refs. I hope that you are fair for both teams. It just kind of looks like maybe Mahomes is a little bit favored here, just a little bit today. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's fine. The Juno return for Patrick today in the 6th house looks like he will be running, supercharged with that energy, having his exact Juno return. It's pretty crazy. And that happening in the 6th house of today's health. So, he could have all sorts of burst of energy. It's that killer be killed, degree of Sagittarius that you're just like, all right. And the 22 degrees Sagittarius, why I know it represents global stardom is because I've seen it in so many big superstars charts. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're going to be globally famous. That's awesome. Then we go into that 7th house where he has this Neptune and Uranus conjunction there, right on the descendant. So it's make or break, and it's on him. So he's got to feel it in his bones and get it the fuck going. His Saturn is loosely by 4 degrees, as I like to say loosely, is right there in that 9th house, and it probably feels more like he's teaching a lesson to an away team more than anything else. So fingers crossed for Mr. Mahomes and all the things that have to go into being one of the most well-known quarterbacks in the league and playing like your life depends on it. Going into the other fun charts, Travis Kelce today, I put the Libras down and might as well, right? Because he's got his sun and Mars in the 4th house with his Juno right there too. So all of this is like coming home to his domain, maybe feeling a little bit of love, a little bit of energy, a little bit of joy. His moon and Venus and Pluto are all in the 5th house for today's game as well as his Uranus, Saturn, Vesta, and Neptune conjunction all in Capricorn. And it is also his Vesta return. So keeping the fire alive physically is going to be a little bit easier for Travis Kelce right now. Also, his Pallas Athena is going to be on today's MC, which I think gives him a little bit more wisdom and a little bit more insight in how this game can go. Then we see that Chiron, Jupiter, and Ceres conjunction in the 12th house, all in Cancer. That Chiron and part of fortune conjunct either side of the horizon line for today's game. So, his North Node is in that 8th house of Vegas odds and gambling. I think it'd be a safe one to say that Kelce shows out today and at least gets a touchdown. Rashee Rice has his North Node and Pallas Athena right there in the 1st house of today's game. Then we see the Ceres in the 3rd house, and then Pluto and Chiron retrograde in the 5th house today. I don't think he's going to be slowed down today. I think that if anything, he is going to be amped up. That Sun visiting his Chiron retrograde feels like a little bit of a boost. Also, having Venus visiting his Pluto and Chiron can be sort of a bountiful harvest of what he's reaped and the things that he is going to be rewarded with as he comes out of his disciplinary side. The Saturn and Jupiter and Mars all opposite Mercury today, as well as Lilith. It's going to be showing if he's put in the work and if he gets rewarded for the things that he has changed about his life. Going into that 7th house, we see Vesta, the South Node, and Neptune for Rashee. South Node makes it probably deeply personal just to win and be able to win in this setting. Having his Uranus and Vertex and Juno in the 8th house. I think the Vertex definitely speaks on being a good person to put a prop bet on. And then I keep like calling everything loosely conjunct by 4, and that is his number. So maybe 4 is a major player today too. Who knows? Going into that 10th house, having his Mercury, Venus, and part of fortune and Sun on the 10th house on the public display. I think he definitely has a great game today and goes off quite a bit, as well as his Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars right there opposite Mercury today. So having that little bit of that polarity, drawing that out of him for sure. Noah Gray, I did say was going to have a good game today. Why? I said that because Moon visiting Mercury is always a positive one. His Mars in the 4th house, even though it's retrograde, coming home once again, kind of like hits different. His Vertex, North Node, and Vesta all keeping things alive in the 2nd house, aka the pacing of today's game. So yeah, I definitely see this one being positive for the Chiefs. I also have, who else's chart? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The one that I said 26 is going to have a good day today. He has his part of fortune conjunct Jupiter and the moon today. Vested in that 1st house, keeping things alive personally for the Chiefs. That 2nd house, North Node in the area of pacing, as well as his Mars once again in Scorpio in the 4th house. So a lot of active push today by some of these guys. His moon being in the 8th house, that definitely indicates to me him being a good one to follow for any like prop bets or anything like that. His Mercury being in between Saturn, or not in between, but close to Saturn and Neptune, or Neptune and Saturn dancing by his Mercury would be a better way to describe that. Definitely can feel a little bit constrictive at times, but it's also like all the work you put in, you're getting back out. His Jupiter and Sun conjunction in that 10th house on display today, as well as his Pallas Athena and Saturn and Taurus being opposite that Mars in Scorpio retrograde. He's got that energy in him already, and I think that could make him a really disciplined and balanced athlete. Having his Venus in Taurus visited by Uranus in Taurus retrograde can definitely feel like an electric bolt to his heart. So hopefully he has been, grounded and keeping all of his excitement, vocalizing that and really just sharing his gratitude to be with the team. I feel like he's great at that. And the more that these guys can connect and bond together, the better. Carson Steele wrapping up, I think, one of the last birth times that I have for the Chiefs, which will be perfect. This one has his Jupiter in the second house of today's game, amplifying pacing perhaps, as well as his fourth house Mars, part of fortune, Mercury, Juno, and Sun conjunction. So that's another one. I'm like, hey, maybe he'll have a good game. So 42 is also on the table. I put 24, but that also can flip to 42. A lot of these can, honestly. It's just funny how it all shows up. His Venus retrograde being met with Mercury as well as Lilith retrograde today, and then his south node and Venus being exact, as well as the sun and his Pluto being conjunct. Pretty awesome for creative plays. So maybe we'll see some fullback action today. That would be fucking great. Having his Chiron and Taurus in that sixth house, maybe he has a little bit of learning to do from these guys, or he's learning and soaking up wisdom from today's game. And then, his moon in the 10th house is definitely another reason why he would be one to watch. So very exciting things here. I know we looked at a lot of charts, and I know we talked about a lot of things. So I am just really grateful to have you all in this realm with me. As always, being able to speak the stars and all of that. I will hold up my little note card, even though I should write this on an actual piece of paper. Or have a graphic, but I'll get there. We're working on the production costs. And while we would love to bring you the full ESPN experience, I'm just one person at the moment. So definitely, if you want to, just screenshot it and crop me out and follow along at home. Or don't crop me out, and I'll just be like the whole time. Oh, man. As always, I've had a blast. I've enjoyed working with the cosmos, explaining the logos behind it all, and working with these players' charts that have trusted me with their personal magic and their journey through the sports realm and the cosmic realm. So it's been an honor as always. And, the more that I can be front facing with more outstanding people that are also in this space, the better. Having somebody come along and really be able to make magic in life is a joy. So if you are afraid of witches being in your realm, if you think sports witches are scary, or whatever, then I have a perfect article for you coming out in my next issue of the Northern Magazine. It will be all about mysticism, and I can go ahead and drop my own magazine announcement theme announcement on my own live show, right? That's allowed. This next issue and the final issue of 2025 will be all about the mystic and mysticism and what that really means. So I'm very excited about that. I'm going to jump outside and do a photo shoot as long as it's not raining and call it a day. So I hope you all have had a great time. The more witchy you can be in life, the more that you can allow witchiness and magic to happen in your life, the more you can say, show me how easy it can be, the more that you can let go and flow through these last remaining months of the year. The new year doesn't start until Aries season, March 2026, and that is after we survive the Neptune and Saturn conjunction at 0 degrees Aries around Valentine's Day. So if you're in a new relationship, or if you're in one and you don't want to be anymore, if you want to wait through the holidays, you can always break up right before Valentine's Day. That's good timing, right? Don't come to me for logical love advice, or rationality. You have free will. At 0 points do I ever believe that the cosmos dictate each and every action we make set in stone. We always have free will. We are able to use that at any moment. You can change the narrative of your life at any moment. And that's the beauty of it all. So if there's anything you can take away from this, is that you are magical, you are divinely created. There is no one else like you, and that is your superpower. So once again, my name is Gracey with Northern Astrology. You might have seen me as Gracey the Witch. I respond to a myriad of names. So, it just depends on which era you know me from, which platform you know me from, and which time frame you know me from. I feel like I am an all-encompassing being when it comes to the many, many facets of me, just like everyone else is. And just like everyone has a story to tell. I told a lot of mine today, and I enjoy being radically honest and sharing the authentic story of Gracey and who that really is. And if you've known me from the GAT years, welcome back. Will I be as loud and shit starting as I was back then? Probably not, but I will have a good time, and I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of you all over again, as well as just seeing where this sports astrology journey takes me. I'm forever impressed and learning from the stars each and every day. So with that being said, thank you for stopping in, and I look forward to seeing you guys the next time I do. Later.